Hey, what's up guys? Shadow Steel here. Welcome back to another episode of Railworks Sundays. Today we're going to be operating the Alco Sentry, this time again. Last time we ran this was a longer scenario. Yeah, we're going to be operating the Alco Sentry today. And getting things moving for once. We're going to get things, let's see, headlights controls. Should have the gauge lights somewhere over here. Is that it? Gauge lights. Yeah, we gotta make sure we're lined out of here. We are not. There we go. Line the switch. There we go. Let's go. We gotta line that switch as well. There we go. We got the gauge lights on now. And let's keep moving here. But yeah, we're doing some switching today with the Alco Sentry today. So, front, rear. And now let's get the beacon on. Beacon on. There we go. We're good. But yeah, today it's going to be interesting to say the least for this scenario because we're going to be running long hood forward throughout the full scenario. So okay, let's get the windows open here. That window open. Get this window open. Open the door so I can hear what's going on. And then while we're going out here, we're going to line some switches here so we don't run into anything. Got to do a lot of switching here. There we go. Switch to a line for us to go in. Good job. Okay, here we go. Throttle off. It's early in the morning as we do some switching here for once. Quite a nice locomotive, honestly, from Diesel Workshop. Oh, set the switch back over there. Alright. So now it's time for concentration. That's going to be the key here today with these videos. Again, I'm still working on a scenario with the Frisco 1500. But as of right now, I'm just going to work on using a little bit more on the BNSF stuff and hopefully get a whole month's worth of BNSF heritage content on the channel all at once. So the first video was the Berlin CP&Q of this month and then the Seattle, Spokane, and Washington. We also had some Santa Fe and Burlington Northern equipment. So hopefully we'll have some more in that line there. Milepost over there. I'm trying to make sure we keep an eye on our speed and our direction here. Ah, my nose. Okay, here we come. Line here. Get ready with the brakes and everything. Well, not that much. Alright, shut her off. Around the curve here. Whee! There's the whistle post right there. And let's switch here. Clear to proceed. The other track here. That horn is really nice, I gotta admit. So we're collecting those boxcars up there. Alright. Once we get to this waypoint here, we're gonna stop and then do some switching. At least pick up these cars and head up on the next track. Socket there. Brakes on. Little bit of reduction on the brake here. We don't fly off on the track here. Right, there we go. Don't have our throttle open, so. Alright, so now we gotta set the switch. Car is here. Alright. Get some brakes. Let's see some random little bits here. Alright. Alright, off we go. I said, hurry up, man. Why am I hurrying? The switching job. You don't hurry up. You hurry up and wait. That's what you do. Alright, now that we're moving. Good looking model here, I gotta admit. This is the first time we've actually operated the Portland and Seattle, or Spokane, Portland and Seattle Railroad. I can never get this railroad's name right. It's one of those railroads that I just never get right. Traveling at 6 miles an hour? Oh, I better be careful on this one. Oh, God. A little bit of brakes. Release the brakes. Alright, we're going to ease ourselves into coupling to the car. It's about 2.5 miles an hour. At least 2 miles an hour. A little bit of notched. Alright, shut down. Ease her into position here. Got it. Hooked in. Ready to go. Alright, let's go. A lot of throttle notching and everything here today. A lot of work. I will admit, these locomotives are just beautiful. Like the equipment, I will say it's kind of disappointing that these are not available on the Diesel Workshop site, at least not that I can remember. But they are available on Steam, so you can buy them, and they do come with scenarios for Feather River Enhanced. So that's that's the route we're operating on today. And it's an early morning run for switching, but hey, it's what we got. It's kind of a cool little lighting setup here too, and everything. With Railworks Enhanced, actually makes it look a lot better too. Ease our train over the switch here, and then stop, and then push it back out of the yard, and then we're going to go back into the main. Alright, here we are, right here. Those freight car sounds are not bad, honestly. They're better than most freight car sounds in this game. There we go. Train stopped. Alright, off we go. Can't really see much in here. It's not with the lights off. Alright, blown for the crossing. There we go. Clear through. The radio sounds are actually quite nice. There we go. Get her moving. So yeah. Not as much has changed with between this and last video, actually. I actually recorded last video probably earlier today, actually, and I'm recording this one ahead of schedule. So, kind of trying to get a little bit of runway here so I can actually work on that scenario. Alright, off we go. And then I got a little bit of plans for other videos on the channel. So. Alright. Going right through here. Crossing's good. Now that we're through here, a little bit more on the throttle here as we get through. It's been hot as balls as the last couple of weeks, so it's been kind of a struggle to record and not turn on the fan that's sitting right next to me. But the only reason I don't turn on the fan when I'm recording is because it gets the wind noise in the mic, and it's kind of annoying, kind of like that thing where you like. Very kind of like it's one of those weird things here. What the hell? Do I have my light on? Oh, there we go. Alright, line of switch, back up. Off we go. Let's go. Off to our next waypoint, which is 1.25 miles. Alright, not too bad. Yeah, these locomotives, honestly, I just love them. That and the Alco RS3s that they have released on Diesel Workshop. It's such a pain in the ass that the ones that now the Alco RS3s that are available on the Boston and Albany route are from Diesel Workshop, but they are butchered to hell, and it's like, what did you do? Like you can see on the lights on these on this particular locomotive, it's got an orange glow. It's kind of got this little hue there that's kind of like not bad or anything like that. Whoop, I'm going up in the speed here. Don't want to be speeding up that much. But the one thing about it is that on the route on the version that's on the Steam store, the Alco RS3s that are on the Boston and Albany route, they replaced the light hues with the bright white lights, and like just basically rip out all of the scripting that was done by Diesel Workshop and just replaced it with the default scripts that are included with 90% of the rolling stock in the game at this point. It's like, what in the world? The locomotive is just fine. You could run it with anything, really. Like I've run these locomotives with the default stock that it comes with the game. No problem whatsoever. You just didn't want to use somebody else's code and say, oh yeah, it's somebody else's code. Like these particular locomotives, I think they're not labeled as being pro. I would have to double check that, but they're not labeled as being part of the pro range, and which is kind of stupid. Yet some of the stuff that DTM releases is like, oh yeah, that's pro. That's the pro range. Like, no, it's not. The only reason it's classified as part of the pro range is because you have Smokebox's script for the FEF3 and the big boy and the Challenger on it. Like, that's why you say it's pro. It's not pro when it's just the braking scripting that you've changed. And it's just one of the, like, it just boggles my mind on why on earth they thought, oh yeah, we'll just call it pro because the brakes are different on this line. Like, for example, a great example of this is actually the Saluda grade, is the route that includes Saluda. It's Saluda grade, but the actual division, I think, is the Carolina division. And Saluda is like a small segment of that. And it's, that route is classified as pro range because the braking script on those locomotives is just the braking script from Smokebox's own like locomotives, and it's like that's not what classifies a locomotive as pro. For example, this locomotive, which is not like again not classified as a pro range, you have to use the selector here to turn on the dynamic brakes, which is then powered by the throttle. It's not powered by a dynamic brake handle. There's no dynamic brake handle on this locomotive. So essentially, you would have to change the system here. So right now we're in not 1, which is the notch, which would be the actual like position of getting the throttle, like the opening up the throttle and getting the smoke and everything going here. But when you switch it a couple notches, it goes to it will go to dynamic brakes, and to trigger the dynamic brakes, you need to use the throttle. And it's like, that's pro. That is like heavily scripted to the point where like, oh, that's really cool type thing. Like that's smart, but like I wouldn't have known that if I just used the game like it's normally intended to do. Like the thing with me in particular, like the one thing I will say about like these particular locomotives, it's really advanced. These should be classified as a pro range model if they are not. And unfortunately, because of how Dovetail does things, they classify these as not being pro because they don't have the scripts that they want to be implemented in the game. And it's like, well, boo fucking who? Like, there are times where Dovetail makes some great products and Dovetail has put out some decent stuff over the years. But I will admit, when they do the whole pro range versus classic range versus like regular products, things like that just confuses the fuck out of me. It's one of those things where I'm like, are you sure that's a pro range product? And now I'm starting to get the feeling over the past couple of years, I've gotten the feeling of like, they're just putting the pro range on things that have this advanced, quote unquote, advanced braking scripting on it that effectively changes how the brakes work on the that effectively just copies and pastes the existing brake system on the from Smokebox's steam locomotives onto a diesel. It's like Smokebox's stuff does deserve the pro range tag. Those things are advanced as all hell, and they are like probably the most difficult things to manage if you're not careful. I know I've had my fair share of incidences where I've just like literally led to a locomotive just either running out of steam or just not having any effort, like not putting any, like not being able to run or anything like that. Okay, what's going on here? Why are we stopping? Let's see what's going on here. We got to stop for this spot. Wait a minute, there is some noise coming from the engine. I need to check. Huh. Alright, well, I hope it's nothing serious. If there is an engine, if there is a problem with the engine, we'll need to make sure what's going on. I say it like that's actually a legit thing that's going to happen in this game, in this scenario. Come on. Easy does it. There we go. Mops down. We roll into the cars here a little bit. Coupled in. Alright. Never mind, there was just an open... What? Then we need to set the cars out. Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. Alright, off we go. So we're picking up cars that we left out from yesterday. Okay, interesting. give it a couple notches on the throttle so we can get moving here. Yeah, back to what I was saying here. Smokebox's stuff deserves that advanced tag. And now, I will say that there's some other stuff that has the pro range tag that it's like, that doesn't seem advanced. And credit where credit is due, there's a couple products from Machine Rails that's in that pro tag. Machine Rails being the steam locomotive group, like the same group that works on, like basically, they're the Diesel Workshop, like they're kind of in the same group, Diesel Workshop and Machine Rails. And Machine Rails are the ones that actually did the Frisco 1500s. They're the ones I commissioned to do the Frisco 1500s. And the 3 locomotives that they have available on Steam are included in the Pro Range, are classified as being Pro Range stuff. Which, granted, there's a couple in there that are actually Pro Range. I will admit that. I mean, well, there's like one out of the whole bunch that's probably Pro Range, but that's because of the route itself being difficult as hell to operate over. The other 2 are the Western Maryland H9s and the Western Maryland I2s, both of which great locomotives, not Pro Range. Like the braking system on those locomotives is pretty good. They're not bad. No advanced scripting. They just have high details and everything. Like that would probably be the only reason I would think of that could be Pro Range. But yeah, it's one of those things where I look at it like, what in the world are you classifying as Pro Range here, buddy? Like what classifies as Pro Range? It's just questionable what Dovetail thinks is pro, what they think is not. I have to look on the store page for these locomotives in particular, but I think these are not classified as Pro Range products, which is kind of stupid, honestly. Hell, I think Feather River Canyon Enhanced is classified as being Pro Range, which is absolutely hilarious. Another crossing coming up here, so I'm not going to stop the bell here real quick. There it is. Yeah, it's a wonder what Dovetail classifies as pro and what they don't classify as pro. It's like that old meme. It's like, are you sure about that? It's like, I don't think you're sure, but okay. There we go. Coming through. There's another crossing just up ahead, too. Now, I will say, these locomotives, the horn on these locomotives is really nice, honestly. It's probably one of the better horns I've heard over the years. A lot of the third-party diesels, especially from Machine Rail, especially from DTM, just don't have the same sound to them. That's actually quite nice. That's one of the reasons why, as much as I don't like some of the people that, as much as I don't really think that, I mean, there's a group. So there's a group I'm sure you've heard of Searchlight Simulations. Everybody in the train sim community has at least heard or knows of them in some way, shape, or form. And this is kind of old drama. This was the thing we were kind of I hinted to back as far back as the my collaboration video with well, there was a collaboration video that I did a while back with the Blackwater branch, essentially. It's kind of showing off what's going on with the Blackwater branch, and that was like the kind of premiere video showing off like what the route looked like as of right now, and kind of showing off what was planned for it. And I hinted to that to the friend of mine that I was collaborating with, Savvy Sage. Credit to him here. But there was a bit of drama that led to it like a bit of a. When I joined the community in 2016, it was a freaking flame war. Like, there was a literal war going on between the community at the time. It was just like, what is happening? Now, granted, I was, at the time, I got involved not knowing any of the details here. not knowing any details of what was going on or anything like that. And like, why are we fighting? What's going on? This guy's being bullied. What I thought was being bullied. Turns out the guy was a piece of shit to begin with. And I'm like, oh yeah, the guy's not. The guy's just the guy's just like not exactly the greatest. And lo and behold, I eventually learned like, oh yeah, that, like years later, it's like, oh yeah, that's something. Okay, we're off the switch there. Let's go ahead and flip the switch back there so we can get our cars. So, let's clear the switch. Right to that. Flip it. Did I flip it back yet? Oh, I did flip it back the other way. Yeah, it's one other way. There we go. Flipped it back. But yeah, there was some drama with Searchlight Simulations back in the day that was like absolutely horrid. And it was one of those things where it's like, it kind of happened with like a few other celebrities over the years. One example being Hulk Hogan recently, where the guy was like, everybody was like, this guy's a piece of shit. Well, yeah, he's a piece of shit in some cases, but like, the guy had a family. You don't disrespect a man that has a family, that leaves behind a family. And this beta tester for Searchlight Simulation, I don't know if he's with the team still or not, and I'm not going to name him directly, but this guy, if you know him, you know. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But the guy decided to straight up dance on the grave of Hunter Harrison, the former CEO of CSX Transportation, after he had passed away of cancer. And say what you will about the guy, say what you will about his policies on the railroad and everything, but you don't dance on the grave of a guy who died from cancer and who was probably a piece of shit, but he has a family he left behind. The same thing happened with, like, the same thing I was seeing with a little bit with Ross Rowland from the community. So, like, granted, it didn't happen with Ross Rowland as much. Ross Rowland, very big name in the steam preservation side of things. He passed away earlier this year as well, due to cancer. And it was one of those things where, like, geez, if we didn't have him, we wouldn't have the locomotives we have today as, like, in service. Like, he was the guy that was behind restoring Nickel Plate Road 765 back to operation. He restored Reading 2101 and 2100. He was like the guy that he's restored Southern Pacific 4449. Like, he's the guy that's like he's the big name in terms of steam preservation. So when he passed away, that was a big loss in terms of, he was a legend in terms of steam preservation. So, but there was also stuff that he did that was just like, what are you doing? Like, a great example is, ironically, when he passed away, it was right around the time that CNO 614 was brought to Strasbourg for restoration. CNO 614 being a 484 Greenbrier Northern type locomotive, J3A, J1A or J3A, one of the two. It's a northern locomotive that Ross Rowland had quite a big hand in during its excursion career in the 90s. But he didn't, from what the stories I've heard of it, he did not take care of it very well. So much so that he actually had this tendency to use, there we go. So much so that he had a tendency to leave the booster on at high speeds, and it tore the booster up all to the point where, like, it was unusable. Like, it's unusable. It has to be either replaced, or it's like, it's straight up like, or you can't use it at all. But it's one of those things where, like, the guy was saying, like, he at least had a family. He was a legend within the steam preservation side of things. So when he passed away, it was like, wow, that guy led to a lot of famous locomotives that to this day are still operating. I mean, he was the man behind the Reading 2101 being restored, which is now being cosmetically restored. He also, like, helped with Southern Pacific 4449 and a lot of the big steam locomotives around the 60s and the mid 70s and into the 80s. And like, it's one of those things where, like, when you actually look at the history, it's like, wow. But back to my original topic. Searchlight, one of the guys from Searchlight Simulations, while testing the AC-44, or doing some sort of beta testing, I don't know what it was exactly, because I wasn't there on live. I wasn't watching the live stream directly. This is secondhand, actually. But while on the stream, he basically decided to dance on the grave of Hunter Harrison, and I was like, "Wow, you're a dick." And it's just like I said, I'm not gonna name the guy, but it's like, if you know him, you know him. He was pretty big within like the Searchlight Simulations group, and like actively like work, like being part of the PR team as well. Like I said, don't know if he's still there today, but even if he isn't, it's like that guy right there. He's the one you can point to that started stirring up drama on purpose. And that's one of the things with the train sim community and a lot of this stuff. Like, people will complain and say like, "Oh, this stuff sucks. This is bad. This is all this kind of stuff." Well, even if it's bad, it's the product is. Even if the product's bad, it's something you enjoy. These are games. At the end of the day, these are games. These are not meant to replace real life. So operating a locomotive, say like over Feather River Canyon, like what I'm doing now, like doing this to me is just a game. I'm not in it to recreate history. There like things you can do that are similar to what has happened in the past, but it's not to actively preserve history. Now, there are other games out there, some of which are in development right now, that are trying to preserve history in a way. But it's also trying to make it a game as well. And that's kind of one of those things where it's like, you look at it now, it's like, oh, yeah. You can't really deny that there is a part of this world that is lost to time, that we can't recreate in real life without pouring billions of dollars into it. I mean, look at this T1 Trust right now, the Pennsylvania T1 Trust. That is a group that is actively trying to rebuild a Pennsylvania T1 back to operation. A locomotive that was lost to time, and they're planning to actually restore it and run it onto the main. Kind of getting the meme there. But you can't do that all the time. You can't restore and rebuild a locomotive from the ground up because you don't know what is exactly planned, like where you're going to run it. Another locomotive that's being built and like planned to be built and restored and run on some trackage is a oh god, what's the actual classification of it? But it's the Montezuma, the first locomotive for the Denver and Rio Grande. That locomotive is being built, or going to be built and be built and actually run on the Colorado narrow gauge trackage again. Maybe not on like routes like the Cumbres and Toltec or the Durango and Silverton, but it will be able to run on narrow gauge trackage because it will be a full-size steam locomotive. Hell, you could probably build that damn thing in your garage if you wanted to, if you knew how to do it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where like when you actually look at it, it's like, oh, you can't do that all the time. You can't actively like build a locomotive that was lost to history from the ground up. And there are locomotives out there that are just straight up gone forever. The New York Central Hudsons. You're never going to build a Hudson back from the ground up. You can get one of the Mohawks operating, which is what they're doing. But you can't get a Hudson again. You can't get a New York Central. There's only like 3 New York Central steam locomotives still around, 2 of which are the Mohawks. I think the other one is a the other one being a switcher. So you can't really like restore. You can't really like grab one of them out of the museum unless you actively pay them or something like that, and then just get it back on the main. The Denver and Rio Grande. I'll mention them. Denver, Rio Grande Western. That railroad, only one standard gauge steam locomotive still exists from that railroad. And it's one of the, like, it's a situation where, like, we can't recreate that history because of just all this missing equipment and everything. There's still some passenger cars and stuff, like freight cars and passenger cars that are still around. But out of all the standard gauge steam locomotives, they're gone. They're just gone. Reduced to atoms, as one would say. Alright, get it up. Alright, now that we're up on the grade here, we're gonna have to go up here. There we go, line through there. And then, yeah, we're going to drop off our cars there. And we're going to set the switch here so we can get out of here. There we go. We got some... That engine sound, man. That is beautiful. Love it. Love that grumbling of the engine. Fun fact about Alco diesels. They eventually became General Electric. Or, well, many of the parts that were built in the electronic components for these locomotives were built by General Electric, which eventually went into the locomotive market themselves and actually decided to, like, say, like, screw you, Alco, we'll build our own locomotives. It's like the whole thing with Futurama. I'll build one that's better and with blackjack and hookers. It's like, no. I mean, these were the last locomotives built by Alco because they just didn't have the components for them anymore. I'm trying to keep it up on speed and trying to maintain our throttle here. We're coming up to our siding here. There we go. Sounded. Alright, coming up to the top of the grade here. I'm coming into the yard, too. So we're going to have to run around the train and take the train back down the hill. I think, anyway. I've only played... This is the second time I've played this scenario. Getting into the yard here. Yard limits. Here we are. Coming through the yard. And what we're going to do... Past the siding here. I love the sound of these cars, honestly. They're a lot better than the G-Track stuff that we were running earlier. As far into the yard as possible. Alright. We've been recording for quite a while here at this point. Put the brakes on. Are we on the siding here? Got the whole train in there? I don't think so. Well, We're probably clear the switch back there, though, right? Are we? Yeah, we are. Okay. Yeah, we're clear the switch back there, so we'll line that switch. Okay. Let me pull this back a bit further. And we'll get this in the siding here. Oh, we were in the siding. Okay, Jesus Christ. Just slam the brakes on, it's fine. Alright, now I gotta tie down the 3 cars in the rear here. You. Alright. Come on, uncouple. Alright. Couple notches on the throttle, get her moving. And tie down 3 handbrakes because I don't know if we're on level track or not. We are not. So now we got to run around the train and get everything moving. So we're going to go back down the hill and drop off the locomotive. It's kind of funny that we have an Alco Sentry to do switching jobs. You wouldn't think that. It's like, it feels like this should be a job for an Alco RS unit. We don't have one. Okay, clear the switch. Alright, we're good. Tracks are lined. Lined and alive. Make sure we're lined for that. We're lined for there. We need to line that switch again. There we go. We're good through. Alright, there we go. Come on. Got a couple notches on the throttle so we can get moving here. Milepost 0, eh? That's the start of the Quincy branch. Okay, and then we gotta stop shy of this reverse, whatever we are. Quincy reversing west, eh? Interesting. Stop there. This is not far. Oh, we're stopping shy of the switch here. Okay. Fair enough. Alright, easy. It's a very small little point here, so there you go. Alright, we're here. Oh, my headlight's on. Not on. There we go. Now we got it. Alright, let's turn the beacon off here. What? Did you hear that? What? Oh no. So I think we've lost dynamics or something? Did we lose power or something like that? I wonder what it's talking about there. Can't get to the beacon though. Nope. Alright, let's go. Okay. What we're gonna do, we're gonna try and get a screenshot here. Roll by. Go forward. Rolling back. It's kind of one of those situations where you got to get a good screenshot for the thumbnail. Alright. Maybe? There we go. That might be a good shot. Gotta get something. Now, we gotta wait. Now we gotta make sure our dynamics are set up. Or once we get downhill, anyway. we're clear. Got down the hill. Okay. Got a forced stop here. Alright, here we go. Down the hill. Let's make sure... What the hell's going on over here? Alright, we're good. Off. Alright, we're on dynamics. At least one notch on the brakes here, so we can get things moving. Alright, now we got things moving. This will be interesting, to say the least. Kind of picking up speed here a little bit. If we climb down, or go down the grade here. Oh boy. Oh, probably should close the door. Nice. Like, nice little thump to the door there. I love it. You gotta love it. Well, this is what I was talking about with the dynamics here. You can see we're using the throttle on the HUD, and we have the thing on dynamics. You can hear the dynamics whining as we go down the hill. We've done quite well so far with with everything. I'm at 15 miles an hour, kind of holding steady there. What I don't want to do is kind of go over speed here a little bit because it sounds like we've got engine trouble. It will be like right as we get down to the bottom of the hill though that we'll have to stop, so that's good. Gonna be fun. We're kind of holding steady at 15.2 miles an hour, which is good. Maybe not. I don't know where the crossing is here. Should be a little further up here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Crossing. Alright. I passed what the? We'll use a bit more dynamics to kind of slow us down before we make a stop. Alright, brakes on. Start sounding the emergency. Well, that ends it. Wonder what happened. Let's get a briefing. Oh, we stopped at what milepost? Milepost 1, right? Yeah, milepost 1. Stopped at milepost 1 before everything went to shit. Whoop. Okay. Oh. We blew a piston and now the engine's on fire. Okay. We need you need a fire crew right now. You don't need the fire. If you've ever seen a piston blow on a diesel, you don't want that. There's plenty of videos of that going around. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and comment down below. Subscribe if you guys want more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.